Howdy, this is Mike McCoy. I own this old wore out sawmill here, and I was going to give you all a little tour of it. Let you see what a little old family owned sawmill's about. Over here's our debarker. This thing's old, like me, wore out, but it still functions barely. And this is where we basically take our clothes off. Over there, that's the mulch pile. You come right in here and go through that thing there, and it digs the bark off of them. Does a remarkably good job. And over here is our knuckle boom. We unload logs with it. Not up there in the hollers, old junk John Deere. You gotta have junk around the sawmill for power. There's a little red wagon that we ride back and forth in. There's a few logs. We're getting awful low on logs, but it's been wet and couldn't get none in here. There's our main loader. It's got the bucket on it now, but usually it's got forks on it. And we basically use it for just about everything down here. There's some lumber. It's just mixed up stuff. If it ain't going in order, it usually winds up there, and then we take it up to the house and stack it and put it on sticks and all that stuff. Get it to where we can sell it. And over here's the chipper. We chip a lot of our waste wood, put it in a pile, sell it for landscape chips and such as that. Right here's where the lumber's stacked at. That's where it all comes off at. Go in here, and this is where the lumber comes down the roll bed at. Here's the carriage. It's a Alt 1C Frick. This mill was made in, I think, 1972. And then completely refurbished in the mid-80s. And then I bought it in 1996. That board you see up above that saw, that was the first board that's ever cut on it. There's a couple extra saw blades. Here's the business end of it. That's the blade that really does the work. I'll pull you in there close, you can see it. And back out. And down in here's where the dust falls, and it goes outside, and there's the feed work. And over there's a little saw cab where I sit. Right here's where my wife works. She runs this machine here. It's called an edger, and it pretty much self-explanatory. It takes the edges off of lumber. It's got bark on it. And over there's our air compressor. And here's the power unit. I'll come around. Here's a piece of maple. It's got a little bit of figure to it. You can't really see it, but if it had been planed, you can see the figure in it. And go back around over here, and I'll show you the power unit. I think it's like a World War II vintage or something other. I know it's old, but it does a good job. So I'm not going to complain about that. Here's the dust that comes out from under the edger. We have to clean that out every so often. But come around through here, and here's the power unit. See if I can get back to where you can see it. There's the motor. It's a what they call a 671 Detroit, made by General Motors. Does an awful good job. Here's the other side of it. This old Detroit motor. Here's my tools and stuff. Refrigerator. You gotta have cold drinks in the summer. Here's the log deck. That's where the logs gets laid and brought in. Then here's where I sit. There's my chair. There's the control. That's what makes it all happen right in there. Over here, and I don't know if you can see them or not, but there's some holes up there in the roof. I don't believe this camera's going to focus on them. It gets little criers too. That's where things has been thrown out of the saw, put up in there, busted. Here's a close-up look at the saw. And right here, that's a tooth, and there's a ring. And over here's the tool that you use to change them with. It's not complicated. This thing right here, just roll them in and out. And here's some old boxes of saw bits and stuff. There's some used ones, wore out, been replaced. Them things cost about $1.50 a piece. And here's a ring. That's how that works. I'll walk you over here and show you the motor for the chipper now. It's a Cummins motor, and I think it's 350 horsepower. It takes a lot of horsepower to grind wood. And here's the motor for it. I've rebuilt it one time, I know of. It does alright. I still prefer a Detroit. And over here's our old sawmill shed where we used to saw. Got a junk in it. Here is just nothing but a mud hole. Maybe it'll dry up before much longer and we can take care of that. There's my planer. We keep it covered up. We use it from time to time. And there's my molder. We've not used it in a long time, and I doubt I'll ever use it anymore. It's aggravating to run. Just really ain't worth the effort. And here's a little inline rip saw. It does good. And if you look up here at the top, I don't know if you can really tell it or not, but we had a fire down here last year, and it burnt the end of this shed off. There was a dry kiln stood right there, and it burned it to the ground. We lost everything, about 10 grand. There's our other John Deere loader. We use it from time to time. Down there's a little John Deere front end loader. And that's here's my old bulldozer. This thing is old, but remarkably it still works. I don't know how good it works, but it works. We use it down here around the mill to clean up. It's like me, I'd say a hard day's work to get it. We don't work it hard. But there it is. It's a old International. I've had it for, God, I don't know how long, years and years. But, well, that's about the end of the tour. Hope you learned something. There's some lumber there, stacked up down here. Over there's some slabs. There's some pottery kilns. They buy a lot of our slabs to make some of this pottery with. So it all gets used. And down there's a sawdust pile. We sell all our dust to these horse farms around here. They bed their stalls with it. So, well, that's the end of the tour. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Bye.